The Gold Coast Suns have essentially been a dozen-year-old meme at this point, from that club that Carmichael Hunt will now be playing for, to Gary Ablett cashing in on his prime, to just utterly bad. And for the last few years, that team that started like a house on fire before fading away. And after an 0-2 start and getting up and beating the Cats in round 3, things looked okay for Stewie Jew's men before an over 8-goal loss to the Saints at Marvel has us pondering the question, are Gold Coast just screwed? Welcome to the Daz Talks Footy YouTube channel, and let's have a chat about the Gold Coast Suns. For the most part, I'm going to keep this current, but just on reflection, like I kind of said in the intro, Gold Coast have never really taken themselves seriously as a football team looking to cash in on the Gold Coast market, therefore becoming more of a marketing team rather than a football team. What GWS had that Gold Coast didn't was A, the ability to learn from Gold Coast's mistakes, and B, always wanting to build a better football team rather than a better brand. Gary Ablett Jr. was a very good marketing decision for the Gold Coast Suns, but considering that they didn't play finals while he was there, whilst he was very much the best player in the competition, it didn't amount to anything for on-field success. Yes, if he didn't wreck his shoulder in the mid-2010s, they probably would have gone on to make finals, but that injury just showed that Gold Coast have never really built depth at all. So that's the history. Gold Coast wanted to become the brand. They didn't. They failed. What do they do now? And that's kind of what this video is about. Tony Cochrane is now gone, for better or worse. We'll just have to see how his replacement goes. It is kind of like a cricket coach in that sense, as you never really know what they do until either they talk or they leave. We know what Tony Cochrane did when he talked, albeit probably too much for most people, but what happens over the next few years in the administration part will probably tell us more about what he did within the four walls of the club than we can ever assume right now. But on field, things are just going terribly. Gold Coast used to be one of those teams that you would lock almost in your tips from round 1 to 4 because they would start like one of the better teams in the competition, put some wins on the board, inevitably the bus would break down and they would finish the year outside of the 8. It's almost become the Richmond will finish 9th meme. Collingwood fans have no teeth, and Hawthorn fans keep talking about that three-peat, even though they've been pretty bad ever since. Yet Gold Coast never really seemed to get as much traction as the Victorian teams for a very Victorian-biased reason. But things have to change at some point. But can they? Is the real question. Let's start with the coach. Stewie Jew was brought in after Guy McKenna was given first reign as a new coach, and in my opinion, is one of the more underrated head coaches in AFL history. GWS got Kevin Sheedy. Gold Coast got Guy McKenna. That would be like a movie producer wanting Zac Efron in the leading role, and I show up. There is an extremely distinct difference, except that Guy McKenna did a better job at Gold Coast than I ever would, being the leading man in a Hollywood film. The other problem that Gold Coast had that GWS didn't is they then gave the role to an experienced head coach who was so far out of the game. Kevin Sheedy was the experienced head that had Leon Cameron, that trained him, that made him into an AFL coach, and then gave him the keys to the Ferrari, quite literally in the case of the Orange Tsunami. Whereas Gold Coast went backwards. Guy McKenna was the new guy, it didn't work. Gold Coast then had to scramble, and Rocket Eade was in charge. And again, the results didn't come. They then gave it to Stewie Jew, who again had no senior coaching experience at the time, and basically wished him good luck. Now, with 30 wins, a draw, and now his 78th loss on the weekend, it is going to be very quick for media and for fans alike to think that Stewie Jew is the problem. Now, he's not barred from any criticism or blame here, but he was effectively fed to the Sharks. And we're going to talk about the things that make no sense about how Gold Coast are playing in just a moment. GWS went and got battlers who were able to train the younger guys and create a very good football team regardless if they left or not. Think of Adam Treloar, Dylan Shield, these guys that moved on after being exposed to top form. There are probably other examples, but Jack Steele is the only giant that I can think of that I don't really remember playing for GWS before becoming a star or becoming a better player at a new club. And Jack Steele is undeniably a star. For the Suns, a lot of their young guys that left became abundantly better at their new clubs. Gold Coast haven't really let anyone go at top price and used that top price for better kids. The guys that have come in and done the best job have either been guys they've drafted outside of that top 5 range or guys that they brought in, thinking like your Gary Ablett Jr. The only exception to this rule might just be current ruckman and captain Jared Witts. Witts is now 30. He was cast away from Collingwood in a revolving door around Brodie Grundy's second in charge, and right now is so far leading their best and fairest, it's not funny, and in my opinion, after round 3 would have been the All-Australian ruckman, although him missing on the weekend probably gives that mantle to Tim English, but he is very comfortably second in that spot, even more so that Toby Nankervis is out for the Tigers. But let's talk about the Suns now. Right now, bugger the past has been done. What are they doing now? And you might look at the ladder and think terribly. But it's not terrible, it's just weird. Let me show you what I mean. Gold Coast are doing something that their previous teams haven't really been able to do well, and that's win contests. Check these numbers out. Gold Coast right now are the best clearance team in the competition. Full stop. They're the best clearance team in the competition. They're the best contested ball team in the competition, and they're top 4 for intercepts. Looking at those numbers, this is a tough team who wins the ball, gets the ball back off the opposition. How is it going so wrong? Well, when they are eventually winning the contest and getting the ball, they are doing less than nothing with it. If we look at the numbers in which they're struggling, meters gained is a huge concern considering how much of the ball that they are actually winning. They're not getting the ball inside 50, which means they're not taking marks inside 50. And of course, the big thing, they are not scoring. Gold Coast's inability to put scoring pressure on their opponents is stopping them from winning football games. It really is that simple sometimes. Now, again, is that the fault of Stewie Dew? Who knows? But the amount of blame that he gets can't be all of it, but it also can't be none of it. It is somewhere in the middle. Now, if the answer is just sack Stewie Dew and keep everyone else in the organisation the same, that is ludicrous. It's also ludicrous that there are people in the AFL media who think this man should replace Stuart Dew. That man who hasn't been to a grand final, nor has won one, with a Port Adelaide team that was playing like the best team in the competition. What makes them think that he can take that next step with a worse list? Seriously, please, someone fill me in on what I'm missing here. But in my opinion, Stewie Dew's blame can be assigned all they want. Their list management is god-awful. Think of some of the better teams in the competition, and think about the guys that are over 27 years of age. Now, you might have some guys who aren't playing the best football, but might be mentors. That's absolutely fine. There might be some teams, like the Tigers, who's 27 and older, might be their better players in the team, with exciting youngsters coming through. And you might think that might be the same with the Suns. They've got some good youth. Elijah Hollins, Bailey Humphrey debuted on the weekend. Matt Rowell, Noah Anderson's a star who finally came to play in round 4 with his best performance of the year. But who are these guys over 27 years of age that are providing the rock and the nucleus of this team to carry it forward? Don't need to do any research. Here is everyone on Gold Coast lists above the age of 27. Look at that! That is disastrous. Now, you might be thinking, hang on, Daz, the first guy on that screen is Gold Coast's best player, if not, is their second best player, and I would agree with you. You might also look and say, hey, Sam Collins is a top 5 player in their current lineup, and like you said, Jared Witts is either first or second, depending on where you want to put him and Touk on that list. Everyone else on that list is providing what exactly? No, I'm serious. What are they providing? Not a lot in terms of experience, sure. Quality, not really. And you look at a team like Hawthorn. Hawthorn might stink, and they are my team. But we've only got one guy on the list older than 30. And that's Luke Breust. Our list cloggers are young. It's a lot easier to turf out younger list cloggers as your rebuild goes through. Gold Coast are overpaying these guys, and the big problem with their list management, whether it's that list or it's their current list versus their opponents on the weekend. Let's use St Kilda. St Kilda do not have, and this isn't that controversial of opinion, do not have that many out-and-out A-graders. Jack Steele is an A-grader. Max King, do you put him in the A-grade category yet? Let's say, for example, we do. Now think about the next tier of St Kilda players. They have an abundance of guys that are around that B grade mark, that B plus mark, that are putting in effort, work rate, and are fighting for a spot on that list as if their life depends on it. And they're 4-0 with 16 injuries. Yes, Gold Coast have got injuries as well. I know that. Believe me, I know that. But the difference in those two sides was this bloke's last name. So, are Gold Coast utterly doomed? Well, if Ben King leaves at the end of next year, I believe, probably. Can they dig themselves out of the hole? Probably not. I know sometimes when I do negative videos, I like to come up with a solution. I don't really have one. I don't sit in on these kind of meetings. I'm only a fan observing from what I'm seeing from the outer. But the AFL need to stop giving Gold Coast on-field advantages and draft advantages and priority picks and anything else they think might help. The AFL needs to invest in the administration. The AFL needs to invest more in either getting this club off-field as strong as it can or getting rid of it entirely. Now, financially, that sounds impossible, but this club is no good. And how does it turn around? I don't know. The only thing that I can offer is that guy cannot be coach. If I had to pick, it would be him. Now, another white guy talking about the scandal involved at the Adelaide Football Club at the end of 2017 is going to serve no purpose. I wasn't there, and I'll never really know. But if you want an experienced coach, he's the next best cab off the rank. And Adam Uze, a Daniel Giansiracusa, is not going to get the job done. Another new face is not going to do squat in that football club. Don Pike is the best option out there. But other than that, this club is in big trouble. So that's the video, guys. Comment below. Let me know what you think. Like the video if you like the video. If you want to join the Daz Talks Footy family, you can subscribe. Share this video with a mate. Plenty of content coming, which I cannot wait for. I hope you enjoyed your Easter holiday, whether you celebrate or not. Hope you got spoiled. If you do celebrate, I will see you Wednesday or Thursday for the next video. Hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.